Bada County in Xishuangbanna has been home to members of the Han ethnic group for many centuries. A cold winter's morning is the time when they hold a special ceremony in honor of the world's oldest wild tea tree. The king of tea trees is, in the minds of the Han people, holy. It has witnessed the birth and prosperity of a special tea. A group of tea lovers have come together in Kunming. They're discussing Puerh tea. Puerh tea is produced from the leaves of a special large-leaf tea tree that only grows in Yunnan. The techniques of making the tea are known by only a few people and are kept secret from outsiders. The flavor of Pu-erh improves the longer it is kept in storage. Unlike other teas, Puerh tea becomes sweeter and more agreeable to the taste after a long period of preservation. The tea lovers are proud of their collections and enjoy showing them off. The tea is judged according to several criteria: appearance, color, fragrance, and flavor, as well as its ability to preserve its taste. The tea lovers are fond of discussing when and where the various items in their collections were manufactured and the changing tea price. A lot of information about tea can be found online. A 100-gram jar of Puerh tea, produced in the 1940s, was purchased at a Guangzhou tea fair at the beginning of 2007 for 300 yuan per gram. This is several times more expensive than the price of gold. What is it about Puerh tea that makes it so special compared to other teas? There is a common belief that good tea comes from a famous mountain. There are 6 ancient mountains in Xishuangbanna where tea is grown. Several of the tea trees are over 1,000 years old. The 6 mountains are known as the cradle of Chinese Puerh tea, where the growing, picking, and processing of the tea has a long history. The earliest record of Puerh tea dates from the Tang Dynasty some 1,300 years ago, when the picking was conducted randomly and the processing was done on a haphazard basis. It was the introduction of the practice of pressing the tea leaves, introduced in the Ming Dynasty, that saw the popularity of Puerh tea spread across the country. The Qing Dynasty was a golden age of tea making. Although Puerh tea was also produced in other areas such as Lincang and Simao, the Puerh tea that was sent as tribute to the imperial court all came from the 6 mountains of Xishuangbanna. The tea grown in Yunnan province was traded in a place called Pu'erh, hence the name Puerh tea. In the past, the skills of producing Puerh tea were kept secret from outsiders. Today, by contrast, the tea makers are quite willing to provide information about Puerh tea processing. Before the leaves are weighed, any old or impure leaves will be removed. The rule is that an individual qizhi tea cake should weigh 350 grams and a packet should comprise 7 cakes, hence the name qizhi tea cake, since qi means 7 in Chinese. The tea leaves are steamed to make them smooth and soft enough for pressing. Row after row of stones are involved in pressing the tea leaves. The tea cakes produced in the town of Yiwu have all been pressed by such stones. The equipment used in tea processing, including the cloth bags and pressing stones, are non-mechanical. Using natural tools preserves the perfume of the tea leaves, something that ensures that it's far superior to the tea mass-produced in factories. The tea processing work has its own traditions. There are many families in Yiwu that have been working in tea production for many generations. During the mid to late Qing Dynasty, as a result of many factors including warfare, the tea-producing mountains of Yibang and Manzhi were in a period of decline. Even so, Yiwu prospers as a platform for the growing contrast between the tea producers and merchants. The tea trade was the basis on which Yiwu developed. Still today, there is a clear evidence of the historical prosperity brought to Yiwu by the tea trade. The early tea pressing devices are a lot heavier than those used by He Tianeng. It's hard to know when the ancient tools first came to use, but the smooth handles bears testimony to the many hands that have wielded it. Yiwu residents refer to a private possession of Puerh as a key part of the town's tea-making history. The board has been in the Puerh family for 6 generations. Many people have expressed an interest in buying the old board from Puerh. Che explains that he allows guests to have a brief look at it out of politeness. However, he is generally reluctant to show it to outsiders. The loft used to contain a number of dust-covered items. One by one, Che Zhixi moved them all out. Then, one day, he removed a felt covering and revealed an old wooden tablet. The tablet is an important souvenir of Pu'er Tea's development. Pu'er tea is good for the stomach and has the effect of keeping out the cold. At the Qing imperial court, it was the custom to drink Longjing tea in the summer and Pu'er tea in the winter. Che Shunlai, an ancestor of Che Zhixin, presented Pu'er tea from Yiwu to Emperor Dao Guang. The emperor praised the tea and demanded that some be sent as tribute to the imperial court each year. As a result of this imperial seal of approval, the price of Pu'er tea soared, and Che Shunlai was granted a board inscribed by the emperor himself. The ancient tea and horse trail is one of the longest major trade routes in the world. Yiwu is the starting point. Xishuangbanna and the surrounding areas used to be plagued by epidemics, so the caravans judged the times of their arrival in the tea-producing areas, according to the traditional Dai calendar. This meant that the tea leaves could be kept in storage in Xishuangbanna's hot and humid climate for up to a year, before being transported to Tibet, central China, and even overseas. In addition to the storage period, fermentation also took place during the long journey. For instance, it would take 48 days from Menghai to Xiaguan. Ultimately, drinkers would discover with pleasure that the Pu'er tea leaves generated more fragrance than fresh tea leaves. Pu'er tea, though it seems quite simple, actually undergoes numerous complicated processes before it is ready to be drunk. Over the centuries, the generations of tea growers, makers, and drinkers have changed. But the ancient tea and horse trail, the tea mountains, and the tea trees remain the same.